I'm Owen and I grew up in the Birches outside Portadown. I had a class childhood. I was always really sporty. I'd say the main theme of my life growing up was, sports. I absolutely loved playing football and Gaelic football. Played for Dungannon Swifts Reserves for a couple of years and then I eventually moved to the Anna and I'm currently playing for Ballyclare Comrades. I always believed in God from a young age. I always knew that I needed to get right with God, but I always thought it's something you do when you're older. I would have attended church regularly with my family, but I was just sort of forced to go on a Sunday morning. Going through school, I always would have been messing about, always would have been part of the inner crowd, getting myself into trouble just for various things. There was a fella from school who kept inviting me to the SU weekend. I didn't really like going to church or going to things at SU because I felt very conflicted. I felt as if I wasn't living my life the way that I knew was right, and I always felt quite a lot of shame, in some of the things that I had done. Said no to him a couple of times. He kept at it and then eventually said, right, I'll go on the weekend, because there's a couple of lads I was friendly enough with going on the weekend. Wasn't really enjoying it that much, felt a wee bit out of place. I had been hanging about outside because I didn't want to go to my small group, and then I was walking late through one of the other small groups to get to mine, and I remember my maths teacher, he was sitting with his small group, and he was just telling them about the way he would have acted in school, and he would have been part of the inner crowd, and he would have been acting a different way at home than he was in school and things like that, and just trying to please people. And he said that at the end of the day, all that's going to be left, is your name on a headstone. How much crack you were, or how much you were able to drink, or how funny people thought you were, none of that was going to matter then. It was going to, whenever you die, you're going to be before God, and it's you have a relationship with Jesus. I just sat in with their group and just listened until he was finished. There was a lot more said, but I just remember feeling as if something was working on me. I didn't know how to describe it, and I just realised that all those things in my life that I had placed value on and had thought I was always going to put off God for these things, I realised that I couldn't wait any longer, and I would say that's the night that I decided I was going to become a Christian. Then I would say what happened was we all, when we were in upper sixth, we all started hitting the age where, we were allowed to go out drinking, legally. We're all 18. I would have started off, just starting to drink a bit, but then it progressed to more and more. And then I started talking less about me being a Christian, and it kind of just faded into the background. And a lot of the people I was hanging about with, some of them wouldn't even have knew that I was a Christian, and it never came up in conversation. Finished school, and then I was for uni. When I got to uni, I moved into the Holy Land, and there was nothing too holy about it. I felt really far from God at this stage. I was just going out, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, partying, just drinking the head off myself, experiencing everything I could. I was trying to gain some sort of satisfaction from these things, or I thought it would bring me happiness, or I thought, at the time it was good crack. But what I noticed was the more I delved into all of those things, the more empty I was feeling. I knew something was missing, and I knew that it was because I wasn't walking with God. I just felt as if I couldn't come back to God. I felt a lot of shame. It just so happened that a couple of Christians had joined Anna United at that time, a football team. I didn't want to get into any big conversations with them about faith. There was one time I was just feeling completely fed up of, the life that I was living, of drinking and partying and staying out to all hours. And it was me and one of my teammates, Jonah, were left in the change room after training, and he was a Christian, and he started asking me questions about what I believed in, and I was just feeling so uncomfortable. But then I turned around and I was I do believe in God, but I'm not living right at all. And I just remember him saying to me, God doesn't care about what you've done. He loves you and he wants you, and there's nothing you could have done that, God will not, take you back, or he won't stop loving you. And left the football club that time, and I was waiting on a lift back from Portadown from the lads I lived with in Belfast, and I remember sitting in the car, just thinking about what he had said about how much God loved me, and it didn't matter what I had done, that I was still forgiven. And it was at that moment that I just said, right, I can't do this anymore, like running from God. And I decided that I was just gonna, follow God and just give it my all, and knew that I was gonna make mistakes, but that was the moment I decided to be full on for Jesus. Looking back on everything from start to finish, I can definitely see what God has done in my life, ever since I decided to walk with God. I felt that, just knowing His love and forgiveness, and just knowing that there's a God that knows everything that you've ever done, knows every sin, every time you've strayed away, but He still loves you deeply enough that He would die for you, and He would do it again 1,000 times. And I'm so thankful that I've learnt that.